right, it's the Xfinity Sports Report here on CET. Of course, you're watching it online. It airs every Sunday night at 6 and 10, only on Xfinity Channel 105. Brian Roth, host of the weekly show, and the 5A, 4A state championships played just yesterday. We crowned those, and helped me to talk about that and break it all down, Neil Devlin, Denver Post, Gerry, Valerio from MaxPreps. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us in studio. A little webisode edition here. Neil, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the 4A game, boy, that a dominating performance by Pine Creek.
Very much so. You know, coming in, I think everybody realizes that Western Slope football is basically tough guy football. You know, they're going to run it and stuff like that. It was kind of cool to see Pine Creek stand up to that and superior line play. And for me, I think Todd Miller does a great job preparing his kids because he plays that 5A schedule.
Yep, he does. And, you know, they start off 1-2, Gerry. And, you know, Todd Miller even said that he didn't know if they were a championship team going into week number 4 after suffering losses to Lakewood and to Columbine, but in the end they were.
Well, this is a program that's been on the knocking on the door for years. You know, for last 5-7 years they've been a top 5 program, and finally had that one team that was able to break through, and they were just physical and dominating up front, and their linebackers and running backs really took care of business after that. Yeah,
and really I think had the team in 2011 as well. Unfortunately, they ran into Valor Christian last year. They ran into Valor Christian in 2010. Right? So, you know, we can argue that. Did Valor Christian really need to play 4A football in 2011, Neil?
I don't think they needed to play 4A football in 1990. They didn't even exist, to tell you the truth.
Pine Creek was happy not to see Valor Christian playing 4A football here this year. Valor, of course, was playing 5A, and Valor did what Valor did. They hammered yet another opponent in the state championship game. Of course, Cherokee Trail, we saw them playing well in the semis this year, the state championship last year. We're hoping maybe Fairview would give them a game that was not to be.
Not from the get-go. Like Gerry said earlier, I mean, Fairview did something on his first play, and then the same kid, I think it was Clark Cooper, had consecutive sacks, and then it was on after that. 21 points first quarter, 21 points second quarter. Difficult to overcome. There's only X amount of possessions in a high school football game. We played 12 minutes. You can't even outlast these guys.
Yeah, and we thought Fairview would have to obviously come out and play their best game of the year, Gerry. They would have to get off to a good start. Bam. I mean, it was a blink of an eye, and it was 21-0 just like that. I mean, you couldn't have picked a worse start for Fairview.
Well, and you talk about all the offensive, video game type numbers for the Valor Christian offense. The Valor Christian defense doesn't always get enough of credit, and I really like the looks that they gave Fairview yesterday. Especially with record-setting receiver Sam Martin. They had about 3 or 4 different looks they were showing on him. Eric Lee was matched up on him. Brian Dawkins was matched up on him individually. Christian McCaffrey at times was matched up on him. They would slide Marcus Wilson over to double team them. They really showed them a lot of different looks than they had probably seen. And you know what? They had the guys who could match up with their receivers one-on-one to allow them to get that kind of pressure up on Anders Hill that they needed.
And not a great, they would admit it. Eagles would admit it. Not a great Valor Christian defense, but they're athletic and they know how to play with the lead.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. No matter what football team you have, Broncos being an example, when you have the lead, it's a different outlook, man.
Yeah, and what kind of gets lost in this, too, is the season that Fairview had, the adversity they overcame in September with the flooding, and that was a magical year for them. And, of course, Sam Martin ends up breaking the single-season receptions record, receiving yards record, 111 catches when all is said and done, 1,848 receiving yards, too, both state records. So, congratulations to Sam, and a great year for Fairview. Now, let the debate begin, Neil. Now, and I guess I shouldn't say let it begin. Let it continue would be a more apt way to put it. Valor Christian, once again, not challenged really in state, and I know there's a lot of people who are going to be chirping.
Oh, they were chirping the entire segment. I mean, listen, all I'm saying.
You got into a few Twitter dust-ups yesterday, didn't you?
Oh, all I got to do is sign on, and I'm in some dust-ups with these people. All I'm saying is, look, Valor has become the standard for Colorado big school football excellence. It could have been them, it could be anybody. Now, they're getting a hard time down there for Eagles because parochial school, people like to say, well, they have all these advantages and their parents have money and stuff like that. Listen, I'm here to tell you, every Valor kid I've ever talked to was a joy to talk to. They're good boys. They behave themselves. They get their work done. They work hard football-wise. And an underestimated thing for me here, Gerry, is people don't realize, man, these guys are coached. I've seen it happen. They do a great job. Now, What do we do with them is the popular question. We can't have an all-parochial league because Mullen, Regis, and Valor are in there. That's it. We have to go down to people like Holy Family and that stuff.
Yep.
I'm for accepting them because me personally doing this for a long time, when Eaton is dominating 3A baseball, I don't hear anybody whining. When Adalia was dominating 6-man football, I didn't hear anybody whining. I did hear whining when Cherry Creek was dominating big school football because they're the largest school in the state and in a ritzy area and stuff like that. It doesn't matter who wins, somebody has a problem with them. I think we're dealing with kids in schools. They need to know that when you go out into the real world, there's no class 5A and 1A and that, 8-man. I mean, they need to be able to deal with this. Some people are going to be better than you, have more advantages. Deal with it, move along, nothing else to see here. That's all I'm saying, okay?
So, in other words, the moral of the story is life is not fair. Get over it. Jerry, your
in a nutshell.
Yeah, they've been in a great cycle, and you had a player in there in uniform who's a once-in-a-lifetime type of player here in Colorado. And, do they come back to the pack next year a little bit? They graduated 19, I believe graduated 19 seniors.
I think they're going to.
I think they probably come back a little bit without Christian McCaffrey in uniform. But as Neil says, this is the same argument we heard in 2008, 2009, 2010 with Mullen and Dave Logan winning 3 consecutive titles, and everybody was all up in arms about that. Well, there's no concern at this point for Mullen anymore. It's all kind of shifted toward Valor Christian, and Valor
or it
Christian,
could be Cherokee Trail in the future.
The next time, and
Grandview.
It'll shift again. Someone will beat them, and that run will end, and we'll look for somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, when Andy Lowry's Columbine Rebels, wonderful run, 99 up until the late 2000s, I think. They ran the ball and blocked better than everybody.
Yeah.
Sure. That's just the way it is. Somebody wins, we've got a problem with it. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
We
talked a little bit about Christian McCaffrey on the programming in the XFINITY Sports Report. It airs every Sunday night, 6 and 10 p.m. CET, Comcast Channel 105. It re-airs throughout the course of the week as well, and we're going to be going right through winter sports season and into the spring sports season as well. Gerry Valerio from MaxPreps, Neil Devlin from the Denver Post. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time right here on the XFINITY Sports Report.